I have an extremely dangerous comparison to make that I'm honestly a tiny bit really actually real life concerned about making on this show. But I'm going to do it today. I think it's a good one. I think it's going to click some things into place. And if anything, I need to be held accountable to the truth, to the courage of my convictions. And we've actually had quite a bit happen since the last edition of Everything Else with Joshua Brisco. That's me, produced by Tucker D. Franklin behind the glass. Always a joy to have Tucker, Nick Springer. There's always a dog to be let out behind the proverbial glass on a regular basis on this program. But I had something really settle in for me. In fact, how's this for some extra cross promo? In a conversation with our friend Matt Verderam. In fact, that episode's out already. Please don't stop watching. If you're live with us now, please don't leave this to go listen to me talk to Verderam. That would be so disheartening. But I was talking to Verderam for a show that went up today over on his Patreon. And this analogy started settling into place. And because it was on Verderam's Patreon, I felt like it was safe to workshop there. And then I slept on it. I've thought about it this morning. And I really think this is helpful for me, at least. But, folks, buckle up. Get a good seat. Don't get scared. I'm going to say the names of some politicians. What? These figures who are completely visible in our lives at all times? Yes, probably not for a reason that you expect. But you may be wondering, Josh, what on earth do American vice presidential candidates have to do with the Kansas City Chiefs offense? And I'm going to tell you, that's what we're doing here on this episode of Everything Else. It's not about the winners, by the way. It's about the losers in this case. It starts for me from this conversation we've been having about Eric Bieniemy now for a number of weeks. Until further notice, I am done talking about the balance of new ideas versus accountability, familiar face versus fresh ideas. We've talked about it to death. I think it's a good topic. I think it was worth talking about the number of times that we have across shows, but I don't need to do it anymore today. If you want to hear my first thought about the Chiefs reconnecting with Eric Bieniemy, that was 4 shows ago. You want to hear it unravel? Hey, that's all right there for you in the podcast feed. Check it out. I think it was pretty good. But on Monday, as we were doing this show, Andy Reid was speaking to the media, and I like to think that a good portion of Everything Else listeners are already up to date with Only Weird Games here on KCSN. Myself, Seth Kaiser, Nate Taylor. You almost certainly know that, right? We talked about the pressers on Tuesday and then yesterday, Thursday, over there, because Andy spoke on Monday and then Bieniemy spoke on Wednesday. If you didn't catch any of that, and this is just the show for you, thank you, first of all. And second, here's what you missed. Andy Reid's presser on Monday was, I think, 40% to gas up Eric Bieniemy and 60% to give Matt Nagy a hero's send-off. Just, hey, man, thank you for your time. We do not want you... I said this a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Well, very tongue-in-cheek. This is a sarcastic comment. Sorry in advance. But a lot of Andy's presser was about how Eric Bieniemy will fix problems that Matt Nagy did not cause. And stuff happens. He's going to hold guys accountable. He's really good at coaching the coaches. Not to say that Matt Nagy wasn't good at coaching the coaches. That's just what the presser was. I don't blame Andy Reid for trying to give a good letter of recommendation for Matt Nagy on the way out. I think he genuinely appreciates the work that Matt Nagy has done in that building, not just these last 3 years, but his time there. He got a real good endorsement from one of the best head coaches of all time, telling the media, the public, and other NFL teams, you should hire Matt Nagy to be your head coach. A very respectable thing for Andy Reid to do. I think there's and again, you know what? I just don't even really want to dive into the press conferences any deeper because we've talked about those plenty. But that was kind of Andy on Monday. He really wanted to keep it specific to Bieniemy and to Nagy, and in both instances, he talked about them in glowing terms, which I think is genuine for what it's worth. It's a little bit conflicted, but I think it's genuine. And then Bieniemy talks on Wednesday, And, he's excited and he's fired up and he wants to bring new ideas, but he also wants to figure out, what's best for the team and so we can do what we do best. Again, stuff that I think is genuine, has some conflict in it. But it's, that's an Eric Bieniemy presser. Tucker and I were talking about this right before we got started. Eric Bieniemy just feels like a football coach. He talks like a football coach. He yells like a football coach. The big white beard is a really good addition for just making him now look like a running back wizard of some sort. I already would have, I think, enjoyed being coached by Eric Bieniemy if I was a professional player. I don't think I personally would enjoy being coached by Eric Bieniemy because I just don't think there would be a sliver of light for him to grasp onto. I just think it would be hours of abuse until I gave up, which I should do, which I've already done. In football, if not in life in general. But man, if I'm a football coach and I see that Eric Bieniemy is my offensive coordinator, if I'm a football player and I see that Eric Bieniemy is my offensive coordinator, that feels like football. And again, having the even more now veteran-looking Bieniemy with the beard, being Andy Reid's enforcer and his sidekick and the guy who's able to raise the volume and also keep an eye on the whole operation, I think it makes sense. I really do think it adds up. Is it the most fun outcome? Is it the most interesting outcome? No. Is it reasonable? Sure. So here's the analogy. Or I guess a question. And I do think it'd be fun to play along in the comments, but I also think that then if the comments just start filling up with vice presidential candidate names in the chat, I think YouTube's going to get really confused. I think the algorithm's not going to know where to put us. So you can play along in your head. If you want to play along in the comments, that's fine. Think about it for a second. How many losing vice presidential candidates do you really have to strain to remember? How far back can you go? It's like, okay, yeah, so Tim Walz was the VP who lost the last general election. Before that, was it Mike Pence again? Before that, there was some late night show did it for the candidate from 3 elections ago, 2016, not that long ago, a pretty hotly covered time in American politics. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and who? What? I see the face Tucker is making in the chat, or down in the bottom. I wonder what face you're making right now. I think some late night show did this, where they said, "Hey, here was the vice presidential candidate." I think he was there on like Fallon or Kimmel or something. Here's the vice presidential candidate who lost the general election in 2016. Look him in the eyes and tell me his name. And if you took this entire time to remember Tim Kaine, senator out of Virginia, you're in good company. Here's what I'll tell you about political media, and specifically the horse race stuff, the polling and the demographics, and this state's turning colors. Here's Steve Kornacki. A lot of times, I spend enough time in world and political news and discourse that I think I know generally what's going on, right? I truly don't yearn to go there, but I want to know what's happening over there, right? Political coverage, and I think much to its detriment, really wants to be sports coverage. Sometimes they want to cover 2 teams going head to head. You want to count scores and votes. You want to see what the difference might be in the margins. Like, okay, well, so she's a woman running for president. Her VP's probably going to be a man. Is it going to be a man from this state or this state? Is it going to be a white man or a non-white man? This stuff happens every single time. This also happens in the run-up to, primaries and everything. You could do the same thing there, but I'm specifically picking VPs for an Eric Bieniemy reason. I remember, because he stayed in politics for a while, I remember Paul Ryan. I could not remember that he was the VP candidate in 2012. Sarah Palin before that, John Edwards, Joe Lieberman, Jack Kemp, Dan Quayle, Lloyd Benson, Geraldine Ferraro, Walter Mondale, Bob Dole. Shout out Kansas. I'll stop at the Kansas one, because I knew who Bob Dole was. I mean, I knew of most of those people at some point or another. But if Tim Kaine showed up at your front door, I think you would say, hello, sir, are you lost? This isn't Virginia. Okay, Josh, why the vice presidential U.S. history lesson? Here's the question I'm asking. Are we overreacting a little bit to the offensive coordinator hiring? Are we spending a little too much time talking about what Eric Bieniemy is going to bring to the ticket? Are we overthinking where the offense is right now? And I think we are, at least a little bit, and at least in some of those ways. The thing that strikes me about remembering the VP candidacy throughout all of these is you're always trying to hit a different demographic than your top of the ticket candidate. Maybe you're an older candidate, you go for a younger vice president. And again, you split this on race lines, on sex lines, age lines. You're trying to build a ticket that's the most appealing to the most people. And so much breath is used and so much ink is spilled every 4 years on, okay, we got the nominee or the two new nominees if there's not an incumbent. So who's the vice president gonna be? This is a huge, this could make or break the campaign. It doesn't. Now maybe there's a political science buff somewhere that will have a couple of examples of times that it really did matter. I'm not saying the vice president has never mattered, and certainly not in instances where they've ended up in power. This is why I'm going with the losing candidates, by and large. If you win and you become the vice president of the United States, everyone's going to remember your name forever, if not for a very long time. And oftentimes that's a jumping off point for you to eventually run for president yourself. We've spent a good month now talking about Andy Reid's vice president, the vice president of Chiefs offense. There will be times that it matters. You want to have someone that does maybe bring a couple of people across the aisle, maybe that appeals, gets a little more turnout somewhere. Maybe you don't think you need to change your policy at wide receiver. Maybe little fast guys are still the play, and you just need to bring a little more voter turnout out of the running back room, out of the wide receiver room. You don't need to change your platforms. You just need to shine up the vibes a little bit. I think that's a little bit of where we're at now. It's an oversimplification because the offensive coordinator does still matter. There is still a collaborative bit of work that goes into the Chiefs offense. As far as I understand or understood for a long period of time, the American government also is supposed to be a collaborative effort where a lot of different people are in charge of a lot of different things. You're in charge of the wide receivers. They underperform multiple years in a row. We're going to go ahead and find someone else to fill that position. But only one guy in that building can do an executive order. That's Andy Reid. Andy Reid can write up an executive order if he needs to. I don't need this guy around anymore. We got you, Andy. We need to get this guy in the building. Yes, sir, coach. We are talking about the structure around Andy Reid, at least on the offensive side. And I think that is still by choosing to operate that way, right? Like, if the Chiefs really wanted to bring in Mike McDaniel or Nathan Scheelhaus or one of the offensive minds who would really take a bunch of that off Andy Reid's plate, they could have done that. Andy could have said to Brett Veach or Clark Hunt or whatever, hey, you know what? This is actually the time that I want to go ahead and I want to step back a little bit and turn the keys of the offense over. Well, that's not where he's at. And frankly, I don't think he's ever going to be there as a head coach because I think that's part of the stuff he likes doing. He said that in his presser on Monday. He still likes calling plays. So he's still calling plays. He's earned that. Absolutely, he's earned that. Eric Bieniemy is here to fill out the ticket, to make sure that President Reid can dictate what he needs to dictate, and so that there can be some little stuff that he doesn't have to bother with, because Eric Bieniemy's got that covered, and he knows his VP is going to have that covered. And if it works, long live President Reid. If it fails, just like the last couple of times, you're not going to blame the vice president. Not really. Now, they might change on the ticket for reasons we're not going to get into. But it wasn't Matt Nagy's fault when the offense sputtered. It wasn't Eric Bieniemy's fault when the offense sputtered before him. It is Andy Reid's executive branch. It's how it's built. That has had excellent results to this point. But that's how I'm at least finding my end of the road for now in this conversation. We've now had the introductory pressers. Most of the league has settled down and hired coordinators and head coaches and general managers, with one kind of bonkers exception in Minnesota. The Vikings fired general manager Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. That was Deanna Rossini first, and then Alec Lewis, former Kansas City Royals beat writer, and now covering the Vikings. I love Alec. Now covering the Vikings in Minnesota. He said that Kwesi had been in Mobile, Alabama, speaking with agents about players yesterday. So I don't know what's going on there. But most of the league's settling in, and we're going to start to shift to more free agent talk and draft talk, and it's just the way that the timeline of the season goes. But I think that is more or less a place that I can at least put a pin in it until at least OTAs. I was going to say training camp. That feels so far away. But we're not going to learn anything new about it. Maybe once we get players in, maybe we'll say, oh, you know what? They signed a 6'3" X receiver. Maybe the platforms are evolving a little bit in the political party. But most likely, we've got a familiar face back at OC. Andy Reid is the most familiar face and the steadiest face in Kansas City. And if it works, we'll give credit to everybody, but most of it's going to Andy Reid. If it doesn't work, we'll give a little blame to everybody, but most of it's going to Andy Reid. And he's comfortable with that, because again, this isn't new to him. I don't think I have another analogy for saying this is his 6th term as president of football. I think the analogy falls apart somewhere in there if it didn't fall apart long ago. But I would at least like to be able to settle into a place of general peace and acceptance on the Chiefs coaching staff front. And I'll mention also the other moves they have made, which now we're talking about cabinet members, folks. We're getting down the ticket here. We are cabinet members, I think was the right call. Veteran DBs coach CJ Cox will be a quality control coach after being at Coastal Carolina, UAB, and Kent State, coaching defensive backs. Villanova wide receivers coach Nate Pagan as a quality control coach. He's coming in on the Chiefs side as well. And they've requested to interview Dylan McCullough, current Raiders running back coach, was the Chiefs running back coach, and as Tucker noticed, #noticing, he was also coaching Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame. So we can kick around if any of that actually matters, but that's where I've kind of settled in here after a few more days of thinking about press conferences, reacting, overreacting, and what direction the offense will be pointed in throughout the offseason. Okay, I gotta tell you about something fun. I've told you about it a couple times a little bit ago, but now I can show you what was inside the first edition of the Mystery Snail Mail Art Club. If you're brand new to it, this is a monthly art club you can sign up for. You don't know what you're going to get every month, but all it costs you is $5 or $10 at sign up, or you can get the full year and get yourself a discount by just paying for the full year up front, get 2 months free. But it is something run by my wife in our basement. That's locally made. That's locally owned and operated, folks. She has begun her art business, Renaissance Art. You can check it out at bit.ly/Mystery Snail. The Mystery Snail Mail Art Club. It includes Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the Mystery Snail. He's a snail detective. It's great. If you sign up and say that you found out about this from Everything Else, you get the Everything Else possum that you can see at the beginning of every show as we have the countdown getting the show started. That sticker is in your box, in your envelope for your first month sign up. This is what you got. if you were there in January, this is Squeal Armstrong, the mystery character for January, and available for purchase at renaissance.art, or you go to bit.ly/mystery snail. You can get to the links there. And also comes with an excellent little letter. I'm not going to read it or show the whole thing now because that's a little bit of a mystery, but a story about the piece from Renee herself. This one I think is truly excellent. And that was the suspect in this January edition, Squeal Armstrong, a pig in space. It is both an awesome thing to just have in your mailbox once a month for a extremely reasonable price, because costs to make these it's happening downstairs as we speak. It's an awesome thing to get just in your mailbox as a surprise for yourself on a monthly basis. Fill your home with a little bit of art special from Kansas City, a Kansas City-based artist, to your walls or wherever you want to put it, and stickers. And I've seen a little bit of some things that are in the works for the future that I'm legally not allowed to talk about, that I think will be really, really fun every time. It's also an incredible gift. In fact, we had somebody ask Renee a couple of days ago, can you just do this anonymously and gift it and just have it start showing up at someone else's house? You absolutely can. You can put all that info in online if you go to bit.ly/mystery snail, and you can get the next one in February, shipping soon. So you need to act fast here. At the end of January, it'll ship in the first week or so of February. And if you want to get signed up, you got to do it now or sign somebody else up at bit.ly/mystery snail.
What is happening, good people? It is Benny Heiss, KCSN betting analyst. And guess what? We got the Super Bowl coming around just in the nick of time. Cannot wait. And listen, it's the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 60 deserves a sportsbook that is built for the moment. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. Listen, we've seen some wild Super Bowls, right? And we've also seen that anything can happen during the Super Bowl. And the good news is that DraftKings will have your back with early exit. If a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. It's that easy. Taking a look at the early line here, right now we're seeing the Seahawks at -4.5 at -115 odds over at DraftKings Sportsbook, which means the Patriots +4.5 as underdogs at +190 on the money line with a total of 46.5. Whether you're looking at the actual game itself, the different possibilities for Super Bowl MVP, or you're just looking to get in on some of these wild and wacky props that are available only during the Super Bowl, you can get those over at DraftKings. And remember, if you're new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. All you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use the code KCSN. That's code KCSN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, remember to call 1-800-GAMBLER. You must be 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Joined now by the one and only, the man with matching headphones as me. He had them first. I really got matching. I just don't think we wear them at the same time all that often. I go earbuds for this show a lot. Tucker D. Franklin, the D stands for definitely had those headphones first. What's up?
Well, I got them from Craig, so Craig told me to get these headphones, so like we both copy Craig.
And we could do a whole lot worse. Yes.
Yeah, we should. Nothing is really, actually, there's been a lot. It's been a minute since I've been on this show, actually.
It has.
And while you were talking, I was thinking about some theories as you were putting together, I think, a very strong analogy, and I was trying to figure out why I couldn't even remember the vice president from 3 times ago. Like, you said his name, and I was like, yeah, nothing. There's nothing up there. That I could not tell you what that man. I apologize to him and his family. I don't know who that man is. But I was starting to think a little bit, and you were talking about the hire of Eric Bieniemy, and what's really stuck out to me from that football show, that another cross promotion with Matt Verderame, is we're just firing our takes off to Matt, basically. Is how
he's crossed into our lives in very real ways. So we come by it honestly.
Yeah. So on that football show, Matt made a point actually that stuck with me. pretty much all through the night as I edited the podcast and I like kept thinking about it, I was like, damn, he was really right there. And we talk a lot about the Andy Reid press conference about him saying kind of like out of nowhere of like, yeah, we were still a top 5 offense, and him really wanting to hammer home the top 5 offense part. And I think that sticks with a lot of people being like, what the hell did we just like listen to, right? Like, are we being gaslit right now? It was like kind of like the large discussion of that. But Matt made a point of like, actions speak louder than words. And if Andy Reid really thought that they had a top 5 offense, would they be asking Matt Nagy to pursue head coaching ventures? Would they be replacing their running back coach? Would they be replacing their wide receiver coach? Probably not. And that has stuck with me of that, okay, Andy Reid can go up there and say whatever he wants. He usually does anyway, right? Like, that's usually how it goes. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they've fired like half of their staff on the offensive side of the ball, I think tells you all you need to know. Actions speak louder than words in that regard. But that was one of the things that we talked about on that football show that really stuck with me.
It's a good take, and it's something that there's a web of podcasts across the internet, and if you don't know that by now, now you know. But when I was talking to Sterling Holmes on Tuesday over on so I'm telling you, man, we can name drop all day. We do a lot of podcasts with a lot of people, and we've been talking about the same topic for 3 months.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Not quite 3 months, but man, it feels like it's been a year. But Sterling made the argument that it was just kind of Andy going up there praising Nagy for his hiring prospects, and not because he didn't genuinely believe there were offensive changes to be had. And I do think there's truth to that. Absolutely. And the idea of, hey, look, and they changed their running backs coach and wide receivers coach and some assistants or some quality control coaches. But, Nate brought that up on Weird Games. And also, I mean, they've moved on from a decent number of people, but most of the offensive coaching staff is still there. Like, you've got 2 real changes at positional coach, right? At running back and receiver. I would really completely buy that if they had interviewed or hired Shieldhouse or Cliff Kingsbury or Mike McDaniel or whoever. Like, the part of that where I can only give that like half credit, and I think it's true, I do think Andy knows that they're not running the offense back for next year, right? Like, it's going to look different in a variety personnel and scheme. There will be changes going in the next year. But the actions that we're looking at here are them going back to their offensive coordinator from 3 years ago, which doesn't scream innovation, right? Yeah. So I think the amount of that I would be comfortable buying in for myself is that Andy Reid certainly knows they have real problems, and he doesn't actually believe that they were just bad luck away from being a legit top 5 offense. But his solution, being the most recent Chiefs offensive coordinator not named Matt Nagy, does feel like it feels like less than a full-on endorsement of like a real change. It feels like there are some things we want to tweak, or if you will, some things we got to clean up. And that, he's been saying that for, 10 years and multiple Super Bowl wins and appearances. So, like, I get it.
The other theory that I've kind of been thinking about, and a lot of people, when you talk about the hiring of Eric Bieniemy and kind of what Andy Reid has done, you mentioned the other coaches that they had reportedly added to the staff. Mm-hmm. A lot of it has to do with prior connections that they have with the Chiefs, whether it's the coaching fellowship or it's they were one time, that's always been a big Andy Reid thing, is that if you have any relations, yes, like it's going to give you an inside track.
I did mention it just a second ago, but both Pagan and Cox, and we're not going to talk about their last names anymore, they both were fellowship, scholarship, whatever, coaches at one point with the Chiefs, briefly, which is very, yes. I think you might be going this direction. It's very different than, yes, and he worked under Andy Reid's wing for 15 years. That's not, sure. They've met. It's what it felt like to me. It's like, which you'd probably want.
And obviously, like the I almost said Andy McCullough. Shout out Andy McCullough. The Dylan McCullough. Yeah. What a pull. The Dylan McCullough. He was on a run during that Royals World Series too. He wrote some bangers, dude. I haven't thought about it.
You read a Kershaw book?
He
Is that what
might
I'm
have.
thinking of?
He
I'm on
legitimately one of my favorite.
Nope,
sports
sorry, it was
writers
Tim
of all
Kaine.
time.
Tim Kaine wrote a book about Clayton Kershaw.
One of my favorite sports writers of all time. Made me want to be a sports writer. Actually, Andy McCullough did.
And then you read it long enough, you're like, I actually don't want to do this. This seems really hard, and he's so good at it.
It's actually a lot easier to talk into a microphone than to write the words down in my head. So I'll take that.
The last of his kind, Clayton Kershaw. That is his book. Just a free pub for someone I don't think either of us have ever spoken to.
I think I emailed him one time when I was in college, and he emailed me back, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me."
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So shout out Andy McCullough, him and Sam Mellinger actually. Shout out Sam Mellinger. Sam Mellinger emailed me back too.
I was just checking to see if I have McCullough's phone number. I don't think I do.
I,
You want to text Mellinger and ask for it?
I'll see. Actually, I'll get to see Sam tomorrow, so I'm excited
Really?
for that. Going out
What?
to Kauffman Stadium. We're doing some Royals content for you
yeah.
guys. So like, I'm excited for that.
I've got a bit
Anyway.
that I want you to extend to him, but I'll tell you after.
Okay, good. Anyway, when it goes to pertaining to the thought process that I had, Dylan McCullough is obviously coached underneath Andy Reid and has spent a lot of time in Andy Reid. Like that's a lot more than what Pagan or Cox have done, right? But there's a lot of people who, you talk about Eric Bieniemy too, who are frustrated with, it seems like, this quote unquote going backwards, right? Of this seeming regression of going back to somebody who was already there. My theory is and again, this is just a theory. I haven't done the research. I guess this is my hypothesis, right? Because if we're following the scientific method, you make your hypothesis first, and then you do your research and your tests and everything to then disprove or prove your hypothesis. My hypothesis is, I don't think there are a bunch of other NFL head coaches and NFL teams that are hiring outside of their brain trust. I don't think, I think that it is highly magnified with Andy Reid because he might be on the extreme end of it, but I think that this is an industry that is very, it's been described as like a good old boys club, right? It's been described as, the people you've got to know people.
There are a lot of Kubiaks out there all of a sudden.
Yeah, you got to be related to somebody to be in the club, right? So my theory, my hypothesis is, this isn't an exclusive Andy Reid thing. This isn't just like something that Andy Reid only does. I think this is a problem that you have with football coaches not wanting to go outside, not just an Andy Reid thing. And I need to do a little bit more research. I might pick a team and just see like, okay, what did they do this offseason? Like what are the connections there? As far as I could tell from like a quick little search of the Eagles offensive coordinator hire, that he doesn't necessarily have any ties to Sirianni. But to be fair, they went through a lot of candidates to get to where the guy that they were going to be. So again, lots of variables which you try to isolate in a scientific experiment. Did not know I was going to talk about the scientific method on today's show, but I think that's where I'm leaning right now. Is my hypothesis is you look at any NFL team, they're going to have guys that have been in the same tree, know the same language per se, to kind of simplify it, dumb it down a little bit, right? That have known each other for a while, because this is an industry where people hire their buddies. They hire people who they know. So I just think it's kind of magnitude to an extent of where, does Andy Reid do it to an extreme? Possibly. Like that is a very possible, plausible outcome that Andy Reid is on the extreme end of things, but I don't necessarily think it is a novel concept for Andy Reid and the Chiefs to be hiring only people that Andy Reid has done coaching fellowships or has had in his building before.
I think there's absolutely truth to that. Two other little elements of it that I'll just throw to you so you can do the actual legwork on it. But two things that stick out to me. One, you beat me to the Eagles point, which is that sometimes your options become limited and you just do something like that. I guess three things. That's one. That's like a half point. Full point here. Another reason that Andy Reid seems to do it more than everybody is because he's been coaching for 6,000 years.
Great point. Yes.
And he has an enormous coaching tree of successful assistants who go other places, and good aspiring coaches try to get around Andy Reid because they know that climbing the branches of that tree is a better way to spend your time than even the Belichick tree. the most successful coaching candidate out of the Belichick tree is now Mike Vrabel, who played for him but didn't coach for him.
Right.
And so I don't even know if that counts or not. Josh McDaniels is kind of the funniest story in like modern football coordinating because he just simply could not be a head coach. Got 3 tries, kind of. If you, he was like hired to be the Colts head coach and then backed out, right?
I think so.
Does that have that right? And then obviously, and then he comes back and he's just like, but he's God's gift to being the New England Patriots offensive coordinator. It's bonkers. But so Andy Reid's coaching tree has been more successful. You have more prodigal sons who leave and come back and all of that. But the other element of it, and this is why I think it became a bigger topic this year for the Chiefs, and understandably, you go outside of your comfort zone when you need to.
Mm-hmm.
When you have had a failure, when you have realized, oh no, we're wasting Lamar Jackson's prime. You try a couple different offensive coordinators. We're wasting Justin Herbert's prime. I don't know if Harbaugh and Mike McDaniel have any overlap. That might be a completely...
That's what I'm looking at right now.
Is it? Okay.
So I don't know. Sorry to interrupt your point, midpoint here. Mike McDaniel is from Colorado, which is where... I believe Jim Harbaugh might have played there. There was a Harbaugh that was a part of the Broncos organization, and he was a Broncos ball boy, so I think there might have been some overlap. Awesome. But other than the coaching realm, I can't tell as of now.
And so maybe there, but that's the, I'm not trying to take credit away because I actually think that's just the smart, right move. But like, hey, hire the best offensive mind who's available and pair him with a really good quarterback who hasn't quite put it all together and a head coach who's going to CEO the whole thing. Good job, Chargers. You picked the obvious answer, but one that I think is absolutely the right process and the right result there. So good for you guys. That's a little bit different than like, we're going to go hunt for the next man up. And then even then, and this becomes a little bit of a different conversation, so it's a little harder to scientific method the way that you want to. But we are now at a point where if you have ever been breathed on by Sean McVay, you're going to get a coordinator job somewhere.
Right.
If you have ever been at the hip of Kyle, is it Shanahan? I think it's Shanahan. I can't think of anyone else in football history that would have greased the wheels for him going forward. If you've been around Kyle Shanahan, you're going to get a job somewhere else more likely because his success looks contagious that way. And frankly, Andy Reid's kind of cycled through that. Like, he had contagious success, and then Doug Peterson won a freaking Super Bowl, so I don't even think that really counts. But Matt Nagy has a not one and done season, but like one and done stop in Chicago. Bieniemy doesn't get the job, and it feels a little stale now, we're talking about 2 coordinators in that time. But there are so many different ways of connecting those dots. I am confident that you're going to find some conversation that Jim Harbaugh has had with Mike Shanahan. And McDaniel is a Kyle Shanahan guy. Jim Harbaugh called somebody else to ask one of his friends who worked with Mike McDaniel what he thought about Mike McDaniel. I can't do the impression because that corner of the internet's been taken already, but we could do a whole role play here. I'll go put on my khakis and I can be Jim Harbaugh calling some trusted confidant about Mike McDaniel saying, "Listen, this guy seems like kind of a weird dude, kind of a strange, kind of interesting fellow. Love the film. What's he like to be around, And I'm sure Mike McDaniel had a similar conversation of this Jim Harbaugh guy seems like a weird dude. Love the film. Seems like a weird guy. And then two weirdos hand in hand. This is the way forward. So I think there's a lot of truth to that, Tucker. I think that there are obvious connections and less obvious connections. Mm-hmm. You don't hire a lot of strangers. And frankly, here's my last tweak on it. When you do sometimes hire a stranger, when you are an NFL owner who is looking to rebuild the organization, you hire a brand new GM who you do not know. You hire a head coach who you do not know. That's when Scott Pioli and Todd Haley look good on paper, but they were the wrong people for the job. And then the next time around, Clark Hunt didn't do it like that. So that, there's never a guarantee. Just leave the circle and just hire a stranger. You're right. That is much easier said than done. And a lot of times that it's done, it's like under duress.
Yes. The degrees of separation, I also think is interesting too, because you bring that up with the Harbaughs. The Harbaughs and the Shanahans are two pretty established football families, especially in the NFL. And when you have been around football for that long, as the Harbaughs and the Shanahans, you are bound to meet the same people and then get introduced to people via those people. So the degree of separation, it might not be a first degree, but yes. I think that in the NFL, this is a league where it's critiqued how much nepotism and how much of this stuff goes on, and to just think that the Chiefs are the only team that don't want to hire outside the brain trust is a little silly, in my opinion. But I do think that there are varying degrees to the brain trust, and Josh, I think you make a great point. It is crazy to think that like Andy Reid has been coaching for longer than I've been alive. Andy Reid has been an NFL coach,
right?
And so he's met countless number of people. He is probably going to hire somebody that he's coached with or has been under his tutelage in a program. I don't know. I think that that aspect of it might be just a touch overblown. I do think that he is maybe on the little extreme end of things, but I think it might just be a little touch overblown in terms of the tree, as people want to call it.
I saw the text come through from Kent on this, and I just double checked. There's some just like sad celebrity news that Catherine O'Hara died.
Yeah, it happened as we were starting the show. Yeah,
did it really? I didn't see it till just now, but obviously Home Alone for an era, but she was so good in Schitt's Creek.
Yeah,
just an unbelievable performance. She only 71.
Yeah, so she think she was in White Lotus as well. Did she do a White Lotus?
Oh,
stint?
Really? I never saw White Lotus.
Maybe she didn't do White Lotus, but she's done a ton of stuff. I was reading the TMZ article about it.
Best in Show is unbelievable.
Yes, I was reading it. They don't know. I don't think a cause of death has been necessarily released, but it's huge bummer. Huge. I audibly gasped when I saw the because I'm locked in with the TMZ notification.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, sure. I can't believe I thought that you didn't know that already. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I saw that come across, I audibly gasped.
Yeah, that stinks.
Big bummer.
I didn't have a segue out of that. I just kind of saw it and felt like I would share that because it was new to me and sad.
That is sad.
I just don't. I mean, we're live, so I'm just gonna be honest, Tucker. I just don't know if now's the time for a Chungus update. Does that feel?
No, we can do it. We can do a Chungus.
Does that feel
to honor?
Is that? I don't think. I was gonna say I don't know if it feels funny or disrespectful. It's just genuinely the next thing I wanted to ask you about because I knew there have been some real Chungus updates. Just shared some very sad news. It really bums me out. If you want a generally feel-good comedy and you haven't seen Schitt's Creek, I think I've had other people say they struggled to get through the first season, and then I can't even remember if I felt that way because I enjoyed everything after that so much. So maybe the first season's a little slow, but man, it rules. And Renee has given us the green light. She says, given her personality, she'd be fine with this transition to Chungus. So
that is true.
I don't feel good about it at all. But rest in peace, Catherine O'Hara, a light in the entertainment world. Tucker, tell me about Chungus.
Yeah, I might have to watch some Schitt's Creek after this, actually. Just because that is just a phenomenal show. It's Canadian too, by the way.
Canadian. I didn't even know they were making TV shows up there.
I didn't know they had TVs in Canada.
I thought it was all snow. I thought it was like wherever Seth lives, basically. Just all snow and kids.
I watch the Outdoor Boys YouTube channel a lot, like probably more than I should. He lives in Alaska, which is like practically Canada, and probably should be Canada.
Yeah, should be. I think
Canada.
It should be. That's my opinion of the day. We started with VP talk. Give it to Canada.
And he goes all the time. He's like, I'm in the Arctic Circle. It's minus 43 degrees. I was like, why? Like,
why are you there?
Yeah, it's like,
what are you there for? They don't even have penguins up there, do they?
No, they only in Antarctica.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, only penguins are there.
I would bundle up to go hang out with some wild penguins. I can't pretend that I wouldn't do that, but
I have a friend. His name is Tanner Fowler, and he is a cinematographer and just a general, like, I worked with him a little bit at Let It Fly. This is now Two Circles. When I used to work there, he was my desk mate for a little bit, and he had the opportunity to live in Antarctica and shoot some footage, obviously. And that's like I think he was filming
penguins. Don't go to Antarctica and shoot penguins, man. That's gotta be so illegal.
He was a part of like a documentary crew doing something about Antarctica, and he got the opportunity to go down there. And I remember I was with him on a desk one day. He was buying all of like the cold weather gear of like he would need to like live. Yeah. So I think about that a lot, actually, and I hope Tanner's doing well. I doubt that he's listening to this program, but because he's got cooler things to do. He lives in a van. And he like lives in Colorado. He's so cool.
How long do you think you would go? Because like I would definitely, if someone was like, "Hey, come live in one of these little like frozen huts," not like an igloo, but like one of the little like science huts that's just surrounded by snow and nonsense, and it seems kind of miserable.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they were like, "Hey, you can come do this and just like carry around equipment, but hang out with penguins, and get like one really sick Instagram reel out of it." I think, but you have to be here for a full month.
Yeah,
I would do it for a month, like in the off season. If it's 100 degrees here, I think I'd go do it for a month there.
I was thinking 2 weeks would probably be where I'd be like, all right, I'm ready to go now.
I mean, I agree that I would also be in that headspace. Frankly, 2 days. I think you give me 2 days with penguins, and then it's -30, and I'm like, you can't pee because it turns into an icicle. Like I have to imagine there is a unique misery to that. But I would do it. Many years ago, Renee and I went to Tanganyika Wildlife down near Wichita, and they have a whole bunch of like little animal encounter things, and we swam with penguins. I mean, like we were in wetsuits and they were swimming around us. Like I wasn't like I didn't mermaid with them or whatever. But like in the water in their exhibit, one of them swam between my legs. It was a delight. I think about that often. Yeah. I'd make it through at least a few weeks in the Arctic Circle or whatever. Don't need to see any polar bears in real life. I mean, not in the wild. No. Very cool. Not near me though, please.
But shout out Canada.
Shout out Canada.
There's like he'll Outdoor Boys. He'll always go to he's like, I'm in this remote village. There's this remote Inuit village, and it's just like there's 200 people that live here. Like they use snowmobiles to get around. You shouldn't live.
I was gonna say, how do you get there? Right? How do you get there? How do they? First question: how did they get there? And have they considered just moving like a little bit south? And then how did you get there as a guest?
There was one episode where he was in this Inuit village, this native village, and they couldn't. You can't actually build on the ground because the ground's like frozen. And so you have to build everything on stilts, and you can't do roads because the road's always frozen. So like they have like logs that are like elevated that people will ride like 4-wheelers on or will like walk on. Like their roads are just like logs elevated, and you can't really grow trees there either because it's always so frozen. So then everything has to get flown in. I wish I could remember what village he was in. I just watched this episode the other day. It's a few years old.
I'll tell you what, Tucker. If you can find it in the next hour or so, and you can send me a link, I'll put it in the newsletter. If people want to watch that, if that seems like I don't, maybe you can't. We don't get it right now, but I can link it there if you find it, and people can get it at the Everything Else Substack at jbbrisco.com.
Great YouTube channel. I'm not even like an outdoorsy type of guy, but I really do enjoy watching his videos, and it makes me feel like that I can do those things.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to believe about yourself, even if it's
I was a life scout. People forget that I was a life scout.
A live scout?
Life, L-I-F-E. I didn't finish my Eagle Scout project, so I just am a life scout.
Yeah. So where does life scout? Is that above a Boy Scout, below an Eagle Scout?
So Life Scout is below Eagle Scout. It's all underneath Boy Scouts, right? Like it's all under the Boy Scouts umbrella.
Well, I was going more hierarchical of like accomplishments.
Oh yeah, Eagle Scout. Eagle Scout's the top. You're the best at the Eagle Scout.
Okay.
Life Scout is the one that's one underneath.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a 3-star Boy Scout.
Yeah, pretty much. I had all of the qualifications to be an Eagle Scout, except I didn't finish the project.
Man, that's kind of devastating. Can you go back to school for that? Can you go back?
Yeah, no, you got to do it before you turn 18. Got to do it before you turn 18. I am. How old am I? 20. 27.
Somebody recently, I think, asked me how old you were. I was identifying how old you were for some reason, and I did a similar thing. I'm like 25, but I figured you would know more confidently. We've done this bit before, actually, that you are never quite sure how old you are.
Well, I had to think because I was born in 1998, so it's usually just adding 2 to the year that it's currently in. But then I was like, well, I can't do that because it's not. I haven't had my birthday yet this year.
January, and you weren't born in January.
Yeah, so I had to really add 1, and that would be 27. Anyway, Chungus is doing really well.
Chungus has not only grown, Chungus had a baby. Chungus has had 2 babies?
Technically, yes. Well, Josh, let me tell you about this. So
no,
it's not like necessarily bad.
You seem distraught.
Yeah, a little bit, but it was.
Oh no.
I made the first loaf after. So I went to Texas, right, for the East West Shrine Bowl. Tara and I FaceTimed a couple times for the feeding, so like Tara could keep the feedings up. Things were going good. Chungus was like really, really growing. And I was like, I think it might be ready to bake like when I get home. I then had to come home from that trip early because my grandpa died. So then when I came home, I had to beat the storm that was going on in Dallas. So I left. I think it was Friday is when I flew back. And so I was like, it's snowing all day Saturday in Kansas City. Like the storm is hitting. I was like, let's just try. Let's just try to make a loaf of bread with this. Looked up a recipe on TikTok. I made the first loaf. And so usually if you're not familiar with bread making, you when you're using a Dutch oven, you put it in there and you'll cook it for like 30 minutes with the lid on. And then you'll finish it off with the lid off to kind of get that
brown
crust
it, crisp it up on top, all that. Yeah, get that crust. Yeah.
We had done all the things that you're supposed to do with the dough. Put it in there. I score it. I kind of got a little nervous with the scoring. I was like, I don't want to go too crazy with the scoring. Right off the bat, I'm just gonna do a basic one. Didn't really think I didn't get deep enough in hindsight in my score, so I was just a little apprehensive about it. Right, so I put it in there to bake, and we pulled it out after the first 30 minutes, and I said, oh no, like this is bad. Morale was low. We'll say that. Yeah. Morale was low when we put it in for the last, 30 minutes to kind of finish. Then I pulled out, and it looked so much better than it did after that. We had ourselves a rise. Yeah, it was like, whoa. I was like, how the hell did that happen? And then you have to wait. You really should, let it sit for 3 hours before you cut into it. But we let it sit for an hour on the counter. Craig recently gave me a tip of turning the oven off and letting it cool in the oven for 3 hours. It's supposed to help with the crumb. And I was really nervous that I was like, this is going to look awful. Like this loaf is going to look bad. Yeah. So I cut into it. Looked really good. You can go see it on my Instagram. I did post that one. That is that loaf was there. The second time I was like, all right, this shit's easy, man. I got this is so good. This is so easy. I'm gonna do a double batch actually. And yeah, overzealous. And I made a double batch, and I was like, you know what? I was using actually my utility. So behind this here, that's my treadmill. Behind this bookshelf, I forgot what those were called. Is our utility closet with our water heater and our furnace in it. And I've been keeping Chungus in there. I can go get Chungus here in a little bit, and I can show you, because I fed him last night. Yeah, we can give you a live showing of Chungus. I keep him in there because that room is, constantly always warmer than it is everywhere else in our house. So I've been keeping Chungus in there, and when we did the first bread proofing, bulk fermentation, I kept it in that room with, a tea towel over the top of it, right? Because that room is just so much warmer than anywhere else in the house. Before I found out the temperature of that room, I had purchased a warmer from Amazon.
Yes, this was a topic of conversation in previous Chungus Files.
Yes, I had purchased the warmer before I had found out the temperature of that room was so much hotter than anywhere else in the house. And for the second batch, that we were going to make a double batch of okay, I've got 2 proofing baskets. We can figure out how to make 2 loaves. If I'm going to make a loaf of bread, right, I don't want to only make one. Well, I got all the stuff out, and I got all the ingredients out, I might as well make a double batch, right? And so, that was my thought process there. And I was like, I don't want to use the furnace room anymore. I'll use the warmer that I bought, right, for this proofing. I overproofed it. I overproofed the double batch. It was incredibly sticky. It was a hot mess, and it was virtually impossible to work with. So then I had to make it into focaccia. I made it into focaccia bread.
The focaccia looked good.
Focaccia was good. Focaccia was very good.
It was a great pivot by you. I saw that. I didn't know all of the ups and downs, but I saw that you pivoted to taking some of that and making focaccia, and I thought, damn, focaccia, yeah, that looks good.
I wish that I had marinara with it, because if I had some marinara with that, it would have been insane. The focaccia's good
at that point. Ooh.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with overproof dough, like, so it's not like it wasn't a total loss, right? So then I was like, okay, we're getting serious. I gotta figure this out. I gotta make another loaf to see if I still got it, right? So the second loaf I made looked so much better. The scoring was great. I went with the cross score. It looks like a loaf of sourdough bread. Like it passed the knock test. It sounded nice and hollow. It didn't seem
knock on it.
Oh yeah, it didn't seem very like dense. I was like, wow, I think we might have done it here. The problem I have with this one, I cut into it too early. I cut into it a little less than an hour, and that kind of sometimes will make your bread gets a little gummier, right? Yeah. And I think that there's a little bit. So I've been using all-purpose flour instead of bread flour, and I think that that is also a big contributing factor to the gumminess, because all-purpose flour, if you use a not necessarily high moisture recipe, if you're using 75% moisture to your flour, you are going to need a flour that can absorb that moisture. All-purpose flour doesn't absorb as well as a bread flour or a rye flour or an all-wheat flour, a whole wheat flour, right? So pivoting, the next loaf I make is going to be with bread flour. It's going to kind of learn from a little bit. I think this last loaf was maybe a touch underproofed in its regard, and I used the warmer.
You're finding this sweet spot. You're still very early in the process.
Very early. I got to find what works good for my oven, what works good for my environment, what works good for Chungus too. What Chungus likes. Got to figure out what he likes.
What he wants.
But it's been going good. We're making baked goods. I said I posted an update on my Instagram. I think I posted on Twitter too as well, and also TikTok, of the next video I post of Chungus will be a bread making video. So I'm done with it. We're done with the daily updates of Chungus. You guys get the gist of how Chungus works. Like, you guys know, it's water and flour. That's it. But we are baking bread now. We are getting in there, but there's been a lot that's happened with Chungus. Very happy with the developments, and we're at the spot now where you have to make mistakes so you can learn, so you can grow here. And like that's where we are at the trial and error process of, look, let's take this variable and let's change this variable of it. Let's add warmer water to this and see how that works out. Let's mix Chungus with the water before you then add the flour into it. So like there's so many different variables that you can control and kind of take, use to your advantage. And it's so easy too in a lot of these to change so many variables at the same time, because like, oh, I can do this, 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 and this. But it is so important that you keep you change only one variable, so you can see.
Right, because otherwise you're just throwing stuff in.
It's willy-nilly. And that's why I think I'm going back. The 2 times I have used the warmer, I have underproofed the dough and I have completely overproofed the dough. So I'm going back to the furnace room. The furnace room is back on the table for bulk proofing, bulk fermentation. Cold proof. I cold proof the second one a little bit longer than I cold proof the first one. So you usually have 12 to 48 really hours of cold proofing, because you can just throw that sucker in the fridge and just pull it out whenever you're ready, pretty much. But yeah, I can go get Chungus if you want to see him.
Yeah, go get Chungus. Go get Chungus. I have one thing to present to you as an idea after you bring Chungus back. Of course, we're very near the end of the show, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you now. You can check out the Substack. Oh, Lily's on the stream and everything. Lily, look at the camera, Lily. if you're listening to the podcast form, Tucker's dog, Lily, is on the couch behind him and watching Tucker. There we go. Lily's coming to the camera, or at least going to go see what Tucker wants. If you want the links to things we talk about, you can get those in the Substack, jbbrisco.com. And Tucker and I are, on socials in the same places we usually are. I might be on Blue Sky more in the off season. We'll see. I've been thinking about that a little bit. I just deleted Twitter from my phone recently. Oh my goodness, look at Chungus. Look at that Chungus.
This is about, I fed him at, now don't judge, I fed him at like 1:30 a.m. last night.
That's not healthy. That's not healthy for Chungus. You gotta feed him at a normal hour every day, or else he's gonna develop bad eating habits.
Well, it's Matt's fault. We recorded that football show pretty late. I did have to edit a good chunk of that football show because, I mean, sure, this is a safe space here. We for 20 minutes shat on a Skip Bayless take that did not exist. And I had to edit it out. Afterwards, we were like, oh, wait.
That's awesome.
He didn't actually say that. And Matt was like, yeah, we should probably edit that out. And the podcast was still an hour and 20 minutes long.
I can't remember where we talked about this, but I do need you to watch Get Up every morning for a month.
Yeah,
I need to know what happens to your psyche.
I don't know if I want to do that, but yeah, I mean,
could you like go for like could you do it as like kind of like a masochistic thing? You're like, I'm going to watch Get Up and work out at the same time every morning. So it's just like I'm just gonna be in total physical and emotional distress for an hour. Is it more than an hour? Is it a 2-hour show?
Well, let me see. I've already Googled this once of the airtime of Get Up because Matt Verder and I were holistically wrong about it when Get Up airs.
I wouldn't say holistically. I say you'd had one of the details wrong about it being on later than it actually is. It feels like a 4 a.m. show. It's actually like an 8 a.m. show.
To be fair, it's 7 a.m. Central Time.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's
that's
like
fine.
we weren't that far off.
Show.
It's 7 to 9.
I can't in good conscience make you do that. Watch it for 2 hours. Although if someone wants to here's the thing: Verderam's got the Patreon structure already. I don't know if we can do it where it's like a KCSN newsletter, Discord perk or something. If someone wants to pay us to watch Get Up, I would probably do that.
Sponsored by somebody.
The idea of
BetterHelp.
doing like a P90X, but for your brain and that. What did you say, Tucker? I missed.
Sponsored by BetterHelp.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I was gonna say with regarding Chungus, I don't want you to overemphasize this because I know it's gonna be a busy time in your life anyway. But I really, really love the idea of day 2 and 3 of the NFL draft up at Holiday Distillery that we're just gnawing. Frankly, we're just gnawing on some Chungus. Where just imagine how powerful it would be to just have a beautifully sliced loaf, maybe some nice Kerrygold butter, just between Kent and Maddie on the barrel,
that's
have some on the
great
desk
call.
somewhere. I'll bring Bugs and we can put Bugs on the sourdough this year.
I think what would be a really good bit is on day 2, we're like, okay, this is how you prep a sourdough loaf. And then we go through the prepping process, and day 3 is okay, we're ready to bake. And we bake the loaf. And on day 3, but I already obviously will have some bread pre-made, a good, in the TV cooking shows that. They already got that. They got that stuff done. That's made. That's TV magic.
Oh yeah. I made this yesterday. Your staff made that yesterday, but it's good that you have it. TV
right,
magic.
Yeah. I'm also looking up now. I'm noticing when I'm doing some more hashtag research on Get Up. This podcast, kind of podcast, I guess. It's an on-demand audio on ESPN.com/radio/play.
Yeah,
it's
that's
from
what they would
Get
put.
Up.
They did PTI and Around the Horn podcasts for a really long time.
Seems really weird.
I used
to
to listen to those.
Hosted on their website like that, but who am I? Apparently, starting on April 2nd, Mike Greenberg, Michelle Beadle, and Jalen Rose will be combining their unique personalities for Get Up, weekdays 7 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. So it started when they brought it up on 2018, March 28th of 2018. Weird time to start that, by the way.
And Beadle's not still there, right?
Oh, no. She's with FanDuel, I believe.
Their website still says Michelle Beadle?
This is I think I'm deep in the archives, man.
Okay,
Like, I
okay,
think
fair enough, fair
I
enough,
am
fair
deep. Like I'm deep in it.
Oh, baby. It's on my podcatcher of choice right here. You can just search Get Up wherever you get your podcast. They got hour 1 and hour 2. Friday, hour 1, Greek Freak Odyssey. Hour 2, Giant Decision.
I'm looking at their Instagram account now, and it does say 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern. So it sounded like it did start at 7 a.m. when they first started it, which would have been 6 a.m. our time, right?
Yeah.
The God's time,
Too early.
Central Time Zone. Still too early for any TV to start.
If you guys want to keep this as a That Football Show bit, I'm happy to just give a contribution to that show and then step aside. Otherwise, I'm going to start doing this here with you. Hour 1, Greek Freak Odyssey. Here's the podcast hour description for Get Up today. Good morning. It's time to get up in Buffalo. Is it Super Bowl or bust? Could the Mafia's new coach already be in the hot seat?
Wow.
January 30th.
Wow.
Sports television is perfect. In New York, a giant decision. May I add, also in the state of New York. Actually in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah. That's a great
A
point.
giant decision. Who should run the offense and who can get the most from Jackson Dart? We've got the latest.
All right.
And the Freak Odyssey in the NBA. The move everyone's waiting for. Well, where will Giannis go? Could another super team already be in the works? All caps. Let's go.
We should do it. I need their so I said a lot of words and did not say a single thing there. Because
You're gonna be on Get Up.
I could be. I call this a Eric Bieniemy press conference.
By the way, that's the exact same description for hour 1 and hour 2. They don't change descriptions. That's just the description of today's show, copied and pasted twice. Yeah, just so you know.
I was gonna say I need somebody to write copy like that for our show because that burden falls on me for That Football Show. Everything you see front, forward, and facing of That Football Show, and actually all the shows on KC Sports Network fall on me. So if you see a misspelling in the in anything, don't worry about it. We're good. We're good. We appreciate it. But did you see Joe Flacco's been added to the Pro Bowl roster?
No, Tucker. No, I missed that one. Bengals. Is he wearing a Bengals helmet in the game?
Bengals quarterback. Yeah,
Joe
Bengals
Flacco?
quarterback Joe Flacco. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tucker, do you know how effing funny it is that there are not one, but 2 Cleveland Browns starting quarterbacks in the Pro Bowl this year?
Yeah.
You know what they say? When you got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. There are 2 quarterbacks who started and presumably won games for the Cleveland Browns this year. 2 of them made the Pro Bowl. Let's fold it. I had some enjoyment of the Pro Bowl as a young one. I don't need any more. I think we're good here.
So right now I think your quarterbacks for the AFC are Justin Herbert. Is he playing in the game or is he one?
I don't know. He's had a broken finger every day of his life. He shouldn't.
That's
be playing.
true. So Drake May obviously is not playing. Josh Allen is not. He was named the starter. He's not playing because he's on crutches. And we know that Shedeur Sanders and Joe Flacco were named to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, did Cam Ward did he turn it down, I wonder? Because he was like the one guy who should have gotten an invite over Shedeur, I think, of like guys who are healthy and available.
Man, your guess is as good as mine. As now I'm looking at this, and I know Travis Kelce turned it down. He said like injuries. I thought that was funny. He's like, yeah, I'm hurt.
I pulled my Pro Bowl muscle.
Right. I don't know if there is an updated Pro Bowl roster. The NFL certainly doesn't have one.
It seems like they don't know who's going to be in it right now.
Well, here's the thing: is that our conversation with Skip Bayless started with talking about Emmanuel Acho's take about like, Shedeur Sanders shouldn't listen to his head football coach. So that's cool.
Yeah,
that's where it started.
A real take that did exist.
And then we started talking about a fake take from Skip Bayless that I fully believe did exist. right?
Yeah.
Like that's the other part of it is that like Matt was talking about this take, and I was like, yeah, it's definitely something that he said, and it wasn't. Matt combined two takes that Skip Bayless had about. He had one take about one person, and then another take about another person, and just like kind of combined them together. It was like this is one coherent take, and then he realized midway through the show, and he's like, yeah. So that's. I saw somebody comment. I wonder what Matt said during the Manual Watch Show segment. It was that we were talking about Skip Bayless, and we had to cut it all out. Yeah.
I love the idea here. Seamus and Megan kind of taking two angles at this. Tucker and Matt react to Get Up and do a live reaction show like Mystery Science Theater 3000. The idea of doing fully putting the full weight of our production capabilities behind a second screen Get Up watch is so funny to me. I'm just like, look, hey, put it on TV, mute the audio, and join us here on the KCSN YouTube channel as we watch Get Up together. I feel like there's that's like a early March, maybe. I mean, that might be a June segment. Maybe we do that in June.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to need to.
Yeah, I do love and appreciate everyone on Twitter and in the socials that will tag Matt and I just in the worst takes that they see, and they'll be like, you guys got to see this.
Get a load of this guy.
It was, gosh, I think it was, shout out Kyle Henning for this one, but tagged Matt and I in the Stephen A. Smith being like, I think Ryan Clark should be the head coach of the Steelers. Just like, what? Like, what in the world? I'm actually kind of surprised that nothing asinine. Well, that's not true because Joe Flacco was just named to the Pro Bowl. Because usually what's happened recently, Josh, I don't know if you've been picking up on this trend, is after we post that football show, something just insane will happen in the NFL. Like, yes. It's like we posted that football show, and then 15 minutes later, Sean McDermott was fired. And then on the Friday, 15 minutes later, Phillip Rivers is going to be interviewed for the head coaching job. And then before we could record another show, he backed out. He said, I don't actually want that.
Sad. Did Mike McCarthy get you guys? That happened at kind of a weird time. I love that. Nick and I talked about that some on Monday, and we've already got an hour and 15. So if you've got Mike McCarthy takes.
No, I think we did talk about that a little bit. It's just, it's just like, sure, whatever. Who cares?
He is right now, today, Mike McCarthy is the oldest head coach in Pittsburgh Steelers history.
Yeah.
He's older than Mike Tomlin right now.
That's the part that is so confusing to me. If like, yeah, we need to. This is a team that has had what, like 4 coaches in their team history.
Yeah,
and they're just like, yeah, this guy.
Chuck Noll retired well before he reached Mike McCarthy age, and Mike McCarthy is only a few years younger than Bill Cowher right now.
Wow,
Bill Cowher is 68. Mike McCarthy is 62.
I did get to see the press conference he had where he was like, "Oh, fired up," and somebody, I think it was Ken Jack, I think was his name. He photoshopped it into like a booth, and he said, "When you see the sizzling fajitas coming around the corner," it's very true.
Extremely true.
Sizzling fajitas.
All right, well, we're going to have something else to talk about on Monday. We only got a couple days between these shows. The Monday to Friday layoff, I always feel so good about Friday. I'm a little scared of a Monday show with literally no football to talk about. But I think we are going to start. I'll pitch you on a recurring bit that probably won't start Monday, Tucker, but maybe next Friday. I've got a bit idea to help kind of get us through a serious sports content bit idea for what it's worth, to get us through some off-season dark days. We'll have a ton of draft and free agency and all of that as we go, plus the regular updates on the Chungus Files. And oh man, Tucker, I have, and this is a tease for the future, I have one of my hottest, most countercultural movie takes of all time on a movie that is very much in the public eye right now that you have seen, that I am going to I'm going to need to chat about at some point here. The Oscars happen yet? Or they announced the nominations? We'll talk about it before the Oscars. We're going to try to, I'd like to watch a few more of those. And
it's not Marty, is it?
I was gonna say it's not Marty Supreme. That I still haven't seen Marty Supreme. which is true. I still haven't, but I didn't want to start narrowing it down too much. But yeah, I've got a movie opinion, some video game stuff, and plenty of Chungus updates as we go. So thanks for hanging out with us for more than an hour. If you're here with us live, or if you listen, just grab everything else wherever you get your podcasts, and you can check out the Substack at jbbrisco.com. I'll try to get Tucker to send or find that Outdoor Guys video if you want to watch a very cold man moving about the snow. And we'll keep an eye on Chungus and a weekend of football news, and we'll be back on Monday. Until then, bye, Mom!
Oh, wait, that's my cue. I forgot that.
No, that's okay. I'm waving. I'm just waving as hard as I can. I'm sweating.
Waving will work.
I think I just tore some tendons in my hands. I don't even know if my mom was here for this one.
Guess we'll never know. I've seen so many Outdoor Boys channel videos, it's hard for me to narrow it down which one it is.
You can't find that. I can just be like, hey, here's the whole channel Tucker talked about. Find it for yourself. We got you close, all right? We got you close.
I think he goes moose hunting in it.
What?
Yeah. Moose is very big in Alaska. Like, you gotta hunt them or you're gonna... Yeah, this Yupik village, I found it.
I believe it's a meese.
20 million views.
20 million?
I wish I had that motion, dude. He's got unreal motion.
I don't think I could tackle a moose, by the way.
19 million subscribers. Hasn't posted in I guess he posted 2 months ago.
Why? What's he up to now? Nope, looks like we're about out of time.